What's up, guys? Welcome to Goddamn, but not as you know it. Okay, today I'm pretty excited to start this little project, as it were. Goddamn solo thoughts. I'm working on that yet. We'll get there. Same idea, only difference is I don't have a guest today. Still unscripted, still unedited. If I stutter a word, it's going to go in. So what you see is what you get. This solo project to me is an opportunity to teach you guys about something that's really important to me. Something that I might have mentioned already a few times and something that I talk about all the time. So let's get down to it. The idea of these episodes, okay, because I'm not very good at freestyling. I have to have some sort of form of structure in order to get this done. So what I have is what I refer to as the 6 pillars of overall wellness, and you can see them right here. Unbeknownst to you, there's actually nothing here. I'm just amazing at editing in post. So we're gonna imagine for now that there's a little box right here that says all the things that I'm saying. 6 pillars of wellness. I call them pillars because, as you can see, they're holding up the wellness. That's kind of my own little spin on that. Don't look it up. You won't find it. All right. So first of all, for your overall wellness to be secure and have a good foundation, you need a good balance of your 6 facets, as it were. So let's talk a little bit about that, okay? Because we're going to get really into those throughout the next episodes. So your first one is going to be your emotional wellness, okay? And that is going to be split into 6 different categories. All these I'm splitting into 6 different categories. I'll tell you more about that in a second. So 1, emotional. 2 is your physical wellness, okay? And that often gets a lot of attention because, well, it's the first thing people see. So I like to stress the importance of not putting too much into the physical wellness for appearances, all right? And that's 2. Third, spiritual, okay? We've touched on this one a lot. God, it's a pretty spiritual word, so that's going to be a very important one. That's why I put it in the middle. I'm just kidding. I did that randomly. But I digress. Still super important. Occupational is going to be your next one, okay? Occupational wellness is something that we don't think about all the time, but we should because it's kind of how we live. So very important one. Next we have our social, pretty straightforward. And then the last and most often overlooked is your educational wellness. And what does that even mean? I'm glad you asked. I'll tell you in a minute. So now that we have our 6 little facets or pillars, as I like to call them, we can start getting into different subcategories of these little pieces of your wellness. So because there's 6 of them, and it just so happens that a dice has 6 sides, this is where it takes away some of the work for me in deciding what I'm going to talk about. Okay, so I have 6 subcategories for all 6 categories. That way I could just roll this little dice, bam, and then my topic has been picked for me today. All right, so for emotional, we'll just get into these real quick. Number 1, resentment and forgiveness, okay, huge. Number 2, emotional intelligence, all right, very important. Number 3, perception and perspective, all right. Just a little couple words that I like. An alliteration is what that's known as, I think. Look it up. Number 4, tenses and emotions of the tenses. So this is something that I play very close to myself because I use it all the time. So I'm going to probably spend a little bit more time on that one when we get there, if the dice decide so. All right. Number 5 is something that I like to call failure fallacy. And I'm not going to get into it too much right now, but just know that it's coming. And number 6 for the emotional wellness is what I refer to as, in quotes, anchors, okay? And it's kind of just like it sounds. It's things that are going to drag you down and stop you from moving or growing in that sort of category. All right. So that's it for emotional. 6 categories and 6 subcategories. Next category is going to be physical. All right. So a lot of these are pretty straightforward. We're going to talk about exercise. I'm going to let you guys know about some of my favorite workouts, some of my philosophies on it. Number 2, we're going to talk about diet and nutrition. I want to take a second before I forget to emphasize that everything that I'm going to be talking about on this little segment and future segments, solo segments, and really in general, is things that I have lived experience with. So everything I'm going to be talking about is firsthand information, okay? Not something someone told me, not something someone heard from someone else, okay? This is all things from my own life and from my own experience. So you won't find any of these categories up here that I don't have personal, firsthand lived experience with, because that's the insight that I'm trying to offer. And with that being said, I haven't been successful in all of these, but I have failed at some of them. So I think it's, something to be said about learning from your failures as well as your successes, okay? So you're gonna get a little bit of all that. Number 3, definitely lived a lot of this, injury and injury recovery, okay? For people battling with injuries, pain, any kind of that thing, I'm gonna hook you up. Corrective exercise specialist, okay? Certified. So take my word for it when I tell you that I've put all of the things that I've learned through that field into practice in my own life and others. Number 5, supplementation. And number 6, PEDs, or performance enhancing drugs. All right. We're going to talk about a little bit of all those things, and that's the physical health category. Number 3, I got spiritual health. All right. First subcategory for that is God. All right. I've asked a lot of people on this podcast so far what God is to them, and I think I might tell you what it is to me, but subject to change because we're always learning. So tentatively, my belief and my idea on God. Number 2, the practice of spirituality. What does that look like? What even is that? I don't know, but I'm going to do my best to explain to you how I feel, okay? Number 3, all right, we got control / serenity, / versus control and serenity in the same little space, okay? Because in my opinion, they go hand in hand, all right? And I'm going to sort of talk to you guys and explain to you a little bit about that. It's an important one. Number 4, prayer. What is that? What does that entail? 5, I refer to these as spiritual boosters, okay? There's others names for them, and I'll get into that when the dice tell me that it's time, all right? Number 6 for that is spiritual barriers, all right? And you're going to come across barriers in each one of these categories. In this particular instance, we're going to talk about barriers of the spiritual variety, all right? So there's the 6. Then we have our occupational health. So first one we're going to talk about occupational health, work-life balance, all right? You hear it all the time, and I don't think the importance of it can be overstated because, I mean, it's work life, and your life that's what you're in right now. You're living it, so can't overlook that. Number 2, purpose, okay? 3, leadership. 4, we have growth, patience, as I call it. We'll talk a little bit about growth. Maybe talk a little bit about patience, probably not, but growth, patience together, something that I want to touch on. Work ethic and pride in your work, all right? Believe it or not, it is an important thing for your health, not just for your job and all that. We'll get into it. Number 6, know your worth, or know thy worth, whatever sounds better. It's just words. Words are just things, all right? So that's it. Almost there, guys. The next one we have is social. Okay, the ones we're going to talk about in the social is friends, family. Number 3, reaching out. Number 4, we're going to touch a little bit on what I like to refer as the social puzzle. Again, I made that up, so we'll see if it becomes a real thing or not. And if it does, then I guess maybe I'm onto something. Number 5, relationships. And again, I want to stress on this. I haven't always had success in all these categories, but I'm going to tell you my experience, and I'm going to tell you my failures, and I'm going to, as candidly as I'm able to be, I'm going to let you guys know from the deepest part of my soul everything that I believe in all these. And number 6, your social role, okay? Because that's an important one too. All right, almost there, guys. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for bearing with me. Last one, educational, okay? Brain health, if that's what you want, however you want to refer to it, okay? We have pursuit of knowledge. That's a big one. Open-mindedness, okay, is a huge one, and I talk about that all the time. Question learning, all right, another little phrase that I kind of coined. I think you guys are gonna like that one. Very good stuff in there. Number 4, free versus paid knowledge. This is one that I more recently got into, and have heard a lot of cool insight about it, and would like to try to offer some of my own. Number 5, know before you go. That's just a little saying to make it fun, because this should be fun, right? And last but not least, for educational health, retention and or / reuptake, all right? And again, I'm gonna explain what all those mean when the time is right. So, thank you guys for bearing with me, letting me lay out this little vision that I have for this project here. And basically the next 36 weeks, I don't know, maybe half that if we're doing 2, I don't know yet. But we're gonna have some good content, all right? And then you guys can get to know me and my thoughts a little better as I progress through these episodes, and it kind of give you, better insight into my life. And for my sons and my grandsons and my great-grandsons and their great-grandsons, this is for you. I'm doing this for you right now. So I hope you're watching it, and I hope that you know that I want you to learn something from this. And Grandpa loves you. And thank you for tuning in. And on that note, we'll get to it next week. So get excited, all right? Get hyped for it. And we'll catch you guys then. But until then, still, goddamn.